talk about this. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. There's going to be now, with the Boston Celtics being eliminated, 7 different champions in 7 different years. Something I never thought we'd see in the NBA because during the LeBron versus Steph era, when the Cavs and Golden State obviously faced off in 4 straight finals, Golden State then goes to a 5 straight championship. It sort of felt like the NBA was 3 to 4 teams every year could win it realistically. Since then, they changed the CBA to sort of stop tanking, to sort of, you can't sign 3 All-Stars. We're going to recreate sort of the 70s of basketball, if you will, which ironically was the era that almost killed the NBA. The finals were on tape delay before Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came into the league. I here's my thing. I don't think I have a problem with parity. I think I have a problem with the market and the stars that these folks are in. Because I'm a person that, like you, Josh, I like storylines in sports. And I like rooting for villains, or I like rooting against villains, and I like rooting for heroes. And I like dynasties. I think they're good for sports, and I think that ratings show that. I loved rooting against Golden State. I loved rooting against Kansas City. The fact that the Cavs and Golden State had those 4 straight finals, I can pretty much recall all 4 of those finals in my head day by day. Maybe it's because we're fans of the Cavs. I don't know, but that was some of the most exciting basketball I've seen in my lifetime. And I think the fact that we are getting, different teams. Oh, it absolutely is a debate. The same people that say we don't like parity are the same people that said, oh, the Patriots dynasty was bad for the NFL. New England's dynasty was not bad for the NFL. You were watching absolute greatness and Tom Brady and the greatest head coach of all time, Bill Belichick, winning 6 straight Super Bowls. And the only people that didn't like it were fans of the AFC because you had no shot. Get better. It's the same way with the Kansas City Chiefs right now in their dynasty, which I absolutely love hating to root for. That's my take on it is we need villains in sports. We don't need Oklahoma City and Minnesota and these. No, give me the big brands. Give me the Lakers. Give me Golden State. Give me Boston.
So you want New York in this year, in this season then, by the way you're talking?
The only reason I would say no is because I think Ant is the most exciting player left. And I do think that Indiana, because they're shooting, would probably give them a better series.
So I love parity. It gets boring to me when you have the same teams winning over and over and over again.
But what do we remember in sports? That's what I tell all you people. We're not going to remember. We barely remember the fact that Milwaukee won the championship. We barely remember the fact that Toronto won a championship. If Denver doesn't win another title, we're barely going to remember the fact that Denver won the title in 2023. You know what we do remember? The Spurs dynasty, the Lakers multiple dynasties, Golden State's dynasty. The Cavs' run to the finals, which only resulted in 1 championship, but most people remember it because of the fact that they did go to 4 straight finals. We remember the Heatles. We give them nicknames because that's what sports is based off of. Sports is based off rooting interest, and when you don't have a rooting interest, it's like, who cares who wins? And that's where I'm at with these playoffs.
So I totally hear what you're saying. And to a certain extent, I don't disagree. But at the same time, I do like that a lot of our recent champions haven't been the Lakers or, yes, we got Boston, but for the most part, it hasn't been Boston or the Lakers or Chicago or these big market teams. It's been Toronto, Denver, Milwaukee, teams like that. That I like that a little more. That's
Here's
just
the
my
thing, though. Again, people always say they like parity. They wish that parity was in all sports. But the highest rated NBA Finals was when Michael Jordan was going for a sixth straight championship. When the Cavs and Golden State were playing in back-to-back finals. You know what was the lowest NBA Finals outside of the bubble because nobody watched because it was COVID? Was the Nuggets Heat NBA Finals. And I am telling you right now, if it is Oklahoma City against Indiana or Memphis or Minnesota against Indiana in these finals, it may be one of the lowest rated NBA finals in the last 20 years.
That I agree with. So I think the NBA needs Oklahoma, or excuse me, the NBA needs New York to win in this matchup because there's no bigger market than New York, except arguably LA. But like that's why I think, for example, the Toronto Golden State series was good because you had Golden State playing in their fifth straight NBA Finals.
Yes, Toronto, and you had the Toronto factor with Kawhi Leonard. Like, I don't mind if a Minnesota were to face a Boston this year in the finals. I think that'd be a very entertaining series. Or, you know, if Oklahoma City does win this championship, or Minnesota, or the Knicks, or Indiana, and they go on to become a dynasty, I'm all for it. I don't care where the dynasty comes from. I just think people get tired of dynasties real quick, and that's when we have a rooting interest. And when I am up rooting against or rooting for somebody is when I enjoy sports the most. When I'm sitting back there and I'm watching these Western Conference, the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm going, I really don't care who wins this series. I'm going to sit in front of a TV. I'm going to watch all these games religiously, and I'm going to have fun watching them because they're going to be entertaining games. But there is going to be that I don't really care who wins factor, which brings it so down for me.
And I understand that. But when you were listing off all the dynasties, you mentioned one that really stood out to me, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. Because again, the Spurs, you wouldn't say San Antonio's a major market for the NBA.
No, it really doesn't matter a market. It's more the stars. Maybe I rephrased it. I do prefer big brands like the Lakers. I think it does make everything feel bigger personally. But even though, as much as I ranted on Greg Popovich a couple of weeks ago, at the time, that Spurs dynasty was what kept the NBA ratings going as LeBron was becoming the heir apparent. Besides Michael Jordan bringing the NBA to its highest popularity in the 90s, the NBA was never more popular than when LeBron was going on his 8th straight finals run and the 2015-2018 run with us in Golden State. As much as fans of Houston and Toronto and Atlanta and all those people wanted to cry about it, guess what? Even though Golden State swept the Cavs and they beat them in 5 in 2017, they were hell of entertaining games. They were hell of entertaining series because you add LeBron, you add Steph, you add Kevin Durant, and it's no disrespect to Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, or even SGA. But again, maybe it's the NBA's fault, and maybe I'm blaming the wrong person. But these guys today, and I'm going to lump the Jason Tatums and even somewhat Jokic into that, even though I think Jokic is fantastic. Where's the personality?
Yeah, you are getting that personality with Ant. But no, the reason I specifically mentioned San Antonio was because I liked that you brought up their dynasty. I wasn't trying to say like that it was a bad thing.
By the way, out of that dynasty, that was the most boring because Tim Duncan didn't talk. Like, and if the Thunder do go on, like you said, win multiple championships, the Thunder dynasty will be remembered the way the San Antonio dynasty was.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what I did like about, even though it was just a 2-year run, I loved that 2-year rivalry between the Miami Heat and the San Antonio Spurs in 2013 and 2014.
Yes.
That 2013 NBA Finals was one.
Yes,
in my lifetime.
I have always believed this in sports, whether it's in sports, whether it's in wrestling, rematches and rivalries and you know, matchups and big championship games. Like, it doesn't even have to be the Super Bowl. It could be Bills Chiefs or Chiefs Ravens or Mavericks Spurs or Cavs Raptors, Cavs Celtics, whoever you want to throw in there. When you get these rivalries, which Indiana and New York now in back-to-back postseasons could become one, that's when the series are good. When you get these one-offs of Oklahoma City and Memphis or, Minnesota and Phoenix a couple years ago, there's no juice to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Minnesota, okay, or Phoenix had a little juice because of SGA against Ant. What I love about Ant, and I think a lot of people love this about him, is he's friendly with these guys like Kevin Durant, LeBron, and some of the others off of the court. But the minute he steps onto the court, he wants to go right at them.
Yep.
And I love that about him.
So bottom line is, I do think parity in some aspects is good, but I think in other aspects it's not so good. And to be honest with you, and I'm not saying you're in this category because I think you agree with me. I think most fans in sports are hypocrites because everybody cries, I don't want to see the Chiefs, or I don't want to see the Spurs, or I don't want to see the Warriors, or I don't want to see the Nuggets again. And then what do? You'll run to your TV because you want to see them get beat. Because that's the power of dynasties and that's the power of star power.
Yeah, like you want to see Mahomes get beat.
Yes, that's my point. You guys are all, it's boring. They win it every year. You know why they win it every year? Because they're better than your team and you're jealous. And that's the real reason. Seriously.
Like, for example, if your Philadelphia Eagles become a dynasty, I know you're hoping they do, but I'm just going to say,
absolutely hate it, and I will embrace it. And people are going to root against me and say, "Oh, I'm a fair weather fan," and all that. And I'll be like, "Yeah, you know why? We have the best offensive line in football. We have a top 5 head coach. We have arguably a top 5 quarterback, and that's why we're winning. And we're better than you. Deal with it."
Exactly. Like, hey, you want to beat the champs? You got to take down the champs. It's as simple as that. Like
champions. Or go on. I'm sorry.
Let me just bring this up. The Florida Panthers bringing the Stanley Cup playoffs into this discussion. I know you're not a big hockey fan, but you'll see how this ties in. The Florida Panthers are the defending Stanley Cup champions. Guess what? They're in their 3rd straight Eastern Conference Finals. You want to take them down and prevent them from going back to back? Okay, Carolina, here's your chance.